Hello there, my name's Jan from JB Crafts and I'm back today with my next tutorial for you guys. I've gone very much down the route of Father's Day for today's design. Now this should go out on the weekend for my Saturday video, but Father's Day is the following weekend. So if any of you do decide that you wanted to have a go at making the design, you've got time to do that if it's something that you fancy doing. So yeah, we're going to pop this one together. I've gone very much down that sort of collage route again. It's a DL size card. It measures 8 1/4 tall by 4 1/8. So the width of it is half the length. And again, I've used my craft card for the main card there. And we've just used lots and lots of scraps. So again, great for scrapbusting. I just went through my stash and had a look at colour scheme. I've gone with sort of the browns and the greens and literally just pulled out lots and bits and pieces from my my sort of stash and put it together. We've got a little bit of metal work on there with the cogs. So yeah, I'm going to show you how I've made this one. So I've got lots of bits and pieces ready. I'm just going to bring in the pile of things that I've got ready. I'm going to pop that to one side and just go through what we've actually got here. So we've got my card blank. Pop those to one side. So this is a piece of 8 1/4 inch square, and then I'm going to score it. Well, I've scored it ready at 4 1/8 of an inch straight down the center, and we're just going to fold this one in half and burnish to make our card blank. So this is just made from a piece of craft card. I wanted to keep that nice sort of neutral look with this one instead of introducing any white. So that's going to be my card blank. And then for the matte layer on here, I'll just bring all these bits and pieces back in again. We've got just a plain black layer to go on the front of the card here. So this one's going to fit on the front like so. And I've just gone a little bit smaller. So I've taken it down 1/4 inch. So I've gone to 8 inches by 7 7/8. So we've got 1/4 inch smaller, which gives me that nice 8 1/2 inch border all the way around. And I'm going to get that piece stuck down out of the way because that's going straight on to my actual card base. So let's just use the all-purpose glue there, get rid of those little bits. And I'm going to stick that one straight onto the card, and that can be drying while we do some of the other preparation work. So just using that all-purpose there gives a nice adhesion, especially to the craft card. It's a very thirsty card, the craft card. It's very fibrous, so it does sort of tend to drink up the glue. So you want a nice strong glue, and that one's going to do the trick perfectly. Okay, so let me just grab my block there from the side of me, and we'll just put that on there to keep it nice and flat while it dries, and pop that to one side. And then I've got lots of other bits and pieces here, so let's just go through these. I've got 2 pieces of scrap, so I started off with them for the card that I've made. These are what were left over, and we're going to use these for the front of our card. I want some of that brown showing, which this is actually a scrap from a Tim Holtz paper pad, and I just love that sort of messy background on there. I think this is also Tim Holtz paper, and again I've just got that mottled green there. And what I want to do is tear this one. We're going to create a panel that's going to fit over the top of the black, but all I'm going to do is start from the top and literally just, I don't want it straight, I'm going to sort of move in and out just a little bit, and I want it slightly narrower at the bottom than where I started at the top there. So I'm just going to go all the way down, exposing the core from that cardstock inside here. And on this occasion I'm going to leave this white. I have inked around the rest of it with some vintage photo. Distress ink is my go-to for doing anything like this. It does sort of make those edges look a little bit more older, a bit more sort of sepia looking, and you've got that kind of distressed image there. I have been around the edge of this one as well, just with my applicator and the ink, just to ink those edges. So pop that to one side for a second. And we're going to pop this one over the top of here and create the right width to go over that matte layer that we've just stuck down. So that's going to be my top layer. I've also got a piece of book paper. Now, I'd forgot to use the book paper on this one, so this is going to be an addition. I wanted to put some book paper in the back to lift it and match the cream cardstock that I'd stamped my sentiment on, and I forgot all about it. So on this one, I'm actually going to try and slot the book paper in the back there. So I've got a piece of book paper. I've also got some more scraps of paper. This is actually the other half of what I used on here. And again, we're going to use this now. It does mean turning it the other way up, but it doesn't really matter because it's all in the background. And again, I want to expose that core. So I'm just going to come down this side here and just take away some of that piece there. This bit will go in the scrap box. And again, we've just exposed that piece that's on here. So this is going to go on here like so. Okay. And then I've also got another scrap piece. This has actually got some like brickwork on, and this one's going to slot under here. So that's the background piece. You can see the brown here, the green at this side, the extra piece on top, and then the little bit with the brickwork, all in the background. And then we're going to work on top of there. So I actually had, this was, these are actually ruler strips. And I'll show you where I've used that one in a second. I've got my little pot of tricks at the ready. So what we'll do is we'll get this background piece stuck down, and then we'll start working on that layering and that collage work to bring it all together. Excuse me. So this one, I've got a tiny 1/16 of an inch border here. This one's just that little tiny bit less. So this one will measure 7 7/8. And then I've just brought it far enough across that it will hide underneath the green piece that we've done as well. So this is the same height, and we've got that sort of split design here. I also want to slot this one underneath like so, and then we're going to bring this bit in on top. So lots of layering again, just building up that design in the background, including that fibre that's exposed in the cardstock. So I'm going to do this one first, and I'm going to stay with that same all-purpose glue. I love this for sticking down my paper and cardstock layers. Because it's a solvent-based glue, you don't get any of the ruttling. When I first started paper crafting, I used to have terrible issues with the paper ruttling and not being able to get it flat. I used to have it sat under books or under my die cutting machines, something heavy, to try and straighten it out, and never very good at succeeding with that. And realised as I learned more about paper and crafting that it was the water in the PVA glue that was actually ruttling the paper. It gets into the fibres of your cardstock and your paper, and there's not really an easy way to get it flat again. So yeah, if you haven't come across a solvent-based glue yet, it is the best thing ever. Okay, so we're going to pop that one down. This one's going to go over the top. But just before I seal that one, I want to put this one in because we're going to slide this inside like so. So I'm going to put this one down next. And all these layers I'm going to do with that same all-purpose glue. So it doesn't need a lot of glue. So what I want to do is just look roughly where I want this piece to sit. Slightly in from the edge and just a little bit up from the bottom. Again, there's no right or wrong. I'm just going to make sure that it's running nice and straight here. And stick that one in place, and then we can add our strip of the green. So again, same process, and this is just going to nestle in that other side and leave that same 1/16 of an inch border all the way around. I just wanted a little bit of the black showing just to frame it off the craft card and lift it a little bit. And we are going to introduce a bit more black to bring that together. And then this piece is going to go on here. Now, just before I do that, I'm going to tuck some more elements underneath. So I'm going to keep the book page to one side so that I don't forget this time. And I've got all sorts of bits and pieces in my little tub here. And what I'm looking for are a couple of bits down here. I'll go through the rest of it. So I've got the other half of the ticket that I put up at this side here. Now, yes, again, this is going to end up being upside down, but it's not that obvious. You know, there's so much going on with the rest of the card that I'm not worried that the lettering is going to be the wrong way up. That one's going to slip underneath there like that. And then this is actually scrap that was left over. If any of you watch my colour theory series, the one that I did a couple of weeks ago that was about the browns, on that video tutorial I showed you how to make your own background using the distress oxides, and this was scorched timber. And again, I keep, you know, like I was talking about keeping this bit here, I keep all the little offcuts, and this was just the job again to add a bit more interest here. And I'm just going to pop this under this side here, and there'll be a little bit of it peeking through when we finish the rest of the design. So before I actually stick this top layer down, I want to just get these in place as well. So again, a little bit of that same glue, like so. It doesn't need much, it just wants a bit, and I'm just going to bring the tweezers in to hold that. So this one's going to be positioned around about there, and I want this one to sort of slot not all the way underneath, but far enough underneath that it's not obvious that it's upside down there. And then I'm going to do the same with this one. I'm going to add some of that same glue, and then we're going to do the same. So I want to get some of that lighter element showing, and this one's going to just tuck under this side here. So it's all building up that interest, and there's different layers as we go along. And then now I can actually stick this top piece down. So again, and then that is the most of the collage work done here. So that one's just going to have a little bit wider border than what's on the black. Gone for about 1/4 of an inch top and bottom, just to bring that one into play. And that's the background. That's all our collage work completed. Then we're going to work on that focal element now at the top. So again, just to bring a few bits and pieces in here, I have got a little background die. Again, I've had this a long time. I'm not sure where this one came from. It just cuts out a very, very odd shape. If I just bring you the shape in as well, you can see there. And it's all made up of hexagons like a honeycomb, and it's great for backgrounds. And I'm going to cut into these. I've actually cut 2 of them. I've cut one in a very pale, it isn't actually craft card, but it's a very pale sort of brown colour. And then this one's actually like a pearlized antique shade of brown. So we're going to use both of those pieces, and I'm going to chop these up into the background. You can see there's a little bit left there that I was using on the original card, so we're going to use that. I don't think I actually need, this was another ticket that I got out in case I needed to use it, but I don't think we actually need that one, so I'm going to put that one to one side. I've got a couple of tickets to go in the background. This one had just one ticket that you can see go through the background here, but I only had the one of them, so I'm going to use both of these in the background there for this one, so we need those out. The little circles are just scraps, and I often do this with my scraps. I've got just taken a couple of circle dies, and I've cut layers in the craft card scraps and layers. This was actually that piece that I showed you at the beginning here that's actually got like rulers and tape measures on. So again, I've just cut it, stuck them together to make a decent sized piece, and then I've inked all the way around the edges again with the vintage photo. And I've got a box with lots of these in. I've got some different ones here. I don't think we need all 3 of them. I think I'm just going to use a couple. So again, all scraps that are left over, 2 sizes. This one's got some matte work on it. This one's just text on it. I think we're going to use those 2 today on the design today. Oops, so we'll take those out. Don't lose the dies, Jan. And then I've got some cogs in there. I've got my sentiments at the ready, which I've just stamped out at the ready. And then I've also got some numbers as well. We just get all these embellishments out, because this is what we're going to work with on the top section of the card. So this one's actually, again, just a number die that I've got, and I've kept it together, and it cuts out like the little number plaques. You can see here, this one is the number 8. I think I used number 3 on the other card. Again, just I wanted to add a little bit more green, so just that bit of interest there, and we're going to use that as well. So that's going to be my embellishments, as well as I want to take a bit of the book paper. So again, I'm going to tear this into a more sort of usable size piece, because I don't need it to be that big. I think we're going to go around about, and again, I'm deliberately trying not to go in a perfectly straight line. I just want this to be an extra element. So we're going to go probably down that way. And I just want it to come right in the background. So probably about there. Again, no right or wrong with this. I just want this to go, maybe that's a little bit wide, I think. I'm going to take that bottom. And this is how I work when I'm designing my cards. It's just a case of try it, see if it looks right, and if it doesn't, yeah, so I want that in the background. And again, I'm going to treat that all the other embellishments I've already done, but I'm going to actually pop that same ink just to distress it, age it that little bit. And then we can use that one in our design. You can just see how that ink just brings it all together and tones it in with the rest of the design there. So we're going to go with that. Then I want to put the lighter one of the two honeycombs in the background. So I'm actually going to take my large scissors and just cut this straight up the middle to start with, so that I've got a couple of lengths. Again, no right or wrong. It's just going to be simply a case of having two pieces to play with instead of one. And then what I want to do is I want to bring some of it down this side here. And I think I probably don't know whether I need the full length there. I'm just going to cut a little bit off the bottom there, make it a bit more manageable. So that one's going to come down this side. Then I'm going to go with the tickets, and I'm going to use both of those together across here. And then just to link to the black on this one, I've got a strip of just washi tape. Just pulled out the black, which has got like a cream patterning in it, and took a length out, stuck it on my desk, and I've torn it down the middle. So I've got half of it here, and this is the other half of that strip. You can see that's now made the width of what I started out with. I've just got it on my wax paper so that I can use this half in this design, and that's just going to link that black for the matte layer, the black ink that I've stamped with, just to bring it all in together. So we're going to use that as well. Let's have a look. What order do we need to stick everything down? I'm going to use the other side of this. Certainly don't need it to be that long, so I think we're going to go sort of, we want to go that way, but probably just going to take that bottom piece off there, and this one's going to run further down, a little bit lower, probably like so. I think is good enough. So I'm going to swap over to my tacky glue now, just because it's got the fine tip applicator, and I have got some of the all-purpose in a fine tip applicator, but I just find embellishment wise that I prefer the tacky glue for that. So first thing we're going to do is pop the piece of book paper down. So again, I don't need a lot of glue on the back of here. I just need enough to tack it in place, because there's going to be a lot going on above here. And that one's going to go about there. So I've got roughly the same distance here as what I've got at that side, and just making sure that my text runs reasonably straight. And then I'm going to go with this bit down one side, and again just very, very sort of little tiny dabs of glue. If you've got double-sided adhesive, you could put that on here before you cut it. You could use your dot runner if you have one of those. Lots of different ways of doing this. And this one again is just going to run down that edge, and I want this visible at the top when we've finished the design, and then a little bit of it popping out at the bottom. And I'm just going to use my wax paper to apply some pressure and not disturb the die cut there. And then I'm also going to pop this one in as well. So again, little tiny bits in places. There's so much going on top of it that I'm not worried about every single bit of it being sealed. So again, we're going to pop this one. So this one comes lower down. I want that one probably to be about there. And again, there's no right or wrong with this. It's just, you know, I'm echoing what's going off here. I know the bulk of my design is going to be above where the paper is, so I wanted some of this showing here and some of it showing to echo it at this side. And then I think the next layer we'll put on is the tags. So again, I'm going to pop both of these on just to create the same kind of space that the other one took up. But I did only have one of those left. So again, we're just going to pop these, just going to use this one as a positioner. And probably go, I want a little bit of the book paper showing. And then this one's going to go over the top. Like so. Whoops. And some of this is going to be covered up. It's just adding that interest in the background again. And then I'm going to use a little bit of this sort of pearlescent across here as well. So again, I'm going to cut into this. So I'm going to go probably in that one like so. Again, whatever takes your fancy. Doesn't have to be spot on. I just want enough to sort of peek out a little bit at the bottom. So we're going to go with that one. Again, I'm just going to pop a little bit. My glue's decided to let me just release the top there. If you ever get this where the glue's pumping out of the top of your container, just release where it's fastened together. Sometimes the pressure builds up inside, especially with mine being in the conservatory. Like I said, there's a water content in here, and sometimes it does sort of build up a little bit and the glue starts pumping out. I've got a little bit on there, look. There we go. So again, I just want to go on the back of this one, just in place, odd places again, just to make sure that I've got enough on there to stick it down. So that one's going to go across here, like so. And again, I'll use this to just add a bit of pressure. And the tacky glue as well dries clear, so if you do get any of it squidge out, you know that it's not going to damage your design because it's actually going to dry back clear. So that's that piece in place. I want the little number in as well. And I've just been around all of these embellishments with a little bit of that vintage photo ink just to tie it all together. So that one's going to go up at the top here like so, just at an angle. And again, each time I'm just using that to apply some pressure. Use the wax paper because it doesn't stick to any of the glue that does happen to squidge out. And then I've got my 2 discs that we're going to use. I'm going to pop one of these in here and then have this one overlapped like so. So you've just got little bits of the tickets popping out, bits of the book paper, a bit of the number. You've got some of that lovely trellis work, and then we're also going to incorporate the cogs as well in there. Okay, now I just need a little bit of scrap, and I've got a bit of just leftover cardstock here that I'd been using for something else, and I'm going to use this to pop underneath the pieces here just to build it up. So I'm just going to cut some down into smaller pieces, and I often do this. I don't necessarily need the height of a foam pad, and I didn't really want the white foam pad showing either. So sometimes if I've got scrap left over, I tend to just cut it down into smaller pieces and use this to build up. Because these are made of layers of card, that's where I'm sort of heading with it. Now I think this one's going to be okay. There's not a lot of give under that one. So again, I'm going to add, oh, now then, just before I do that, it's sat right at the side of me. I do want to add my piece of washi tape. So I'm just going to peel that off. See, adding it onto the wax paper has just kept it nice and ready to use. And then I'm going to turn round the straight side this way. Oh dear me, it's very friendly. There we go. And this is going to go all the way from quite a way down. I still want to be able to see a little bit of that brown underneath. And then I'm just going to tear it so that it disappears underneath the piece that we're about to stick on. I nearly forgot there. So the next is going to be this one. Again, decent amount of glue on this now, because this is going to be sort of my top embellishment. I want to make sure that this one's nice and secure. And I do have writing running across mine, so I want to make sure that's reasonably straight as well. So this one's going to go here, like so. Just give that glue a second. Now there is a little bit of give under there, so I am going to slot one of these pieces just under the edge there. I can just feel it give in there, just to help build up that layer. And then what I want to do is pop in a couple of my cogs. So these, I've got a whole tub of these, and I've just popped them out and just chosen ones. I've got some brass and then some in that sort of coppery shade, and I literally just poured them out and chose the ones that I wanted to use for the design. And again, I don't think there's really a right or wrong side with these, and I'm going to use that same glue for this. Now you can use your hot glue, but the tacky glue is a great one for adding embellishments that aren't cardstock. So again, I'm just going to put that on, knowing that it dries clear. And then I want to pop this one just towards the edge of that first circle, and just give it a second or two for that glue to grab. And then this one we will need to build up a little bit more. So this one's going to sit here over the top. Now I have got quite a big gap under here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick, just while I'm working on that, I'm going to pop the block on there, and then I'm going to stick 2 or 3 of these together now to create the effect of a foam pad, but it just builds up a little bit of layer. It's a great way of using up any odds and ends as well, and just build up a bit of depth there. So that's 3 pieces. We'll try 4 and see how we get on with 4. I have got another little bit left if I need it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this under here now, and then that will be hidden behind our circle, but it will actually bridge. Yeah, I think we can probably get away with the 4th one as well. Just bridges that gap. You can use foam pads if you wish. I just don't like seeing the white foam pads sometimes, especially when it's something like this that's in darker colours. And then all I'm going to do is add some glue underneath there, and we're going to position this one and tuck it right sort of under the edge here, so that that one's got somewhere to sit. There we go, that's much better. So before I add that last one in, I've got another cog to go down this side. So again, just adding some glue onto there, and I'm going to bring this one, this is going to go on here, and I want this one to be popping out of that top there. And again, just hold it in place for a second, give that glue chance to do its job. And then that should work. So now we can pop our other disc on. So again, any bits of scrap that you've got left, you can do this with any shape. You can do it with the hexagons, you can do little squares. I like the circles, it just gives us a slightly different look. So that one's going to go right at the top, but it's got that support underneath now. Give that one a little press down, and then pop that on there for a second. And we've got left to do our sentiments, and I'll show you where I've got these from. And pop that to one side for a second. So let's have a look what we've got here. I have got, this is one of my favourite sets, I must admit. I come back to this, you've seen me use this before, Simply Sentiments by Crafter's Companion. It's got lots and lots of little words, and I wanted a mixture of fonts. I wanted this one, which is a nice sort of script font with the little block letters from the happy out of here. And then my Father's Day one's a really old one, again, Crafter's Companion, male and female words. I've had these are probably one of the first things I got when I was working with Crafter's Companion. I've got some dies that have got the similar font, and then I've got sets, so male and female words. It's got lots of different sort of like people. So you've got granddad, you've got grandma, uncle, husband, nephew, mother, auntie, etc. And you've also got a Mother's Day and a Father's Day in there. So again, it's one that I come back to time and time again. So that's where my sentiments are from. Stamped on cream card, and again edged with that same vintage photo ink. So we're going to pop those in place. I've kept one of the cogs to work with the other sentiment, and I'm also going to bring in a little bit, I want a little tiny bit more of this. I'm just going to snip again, probably across like that, to go underneath the sentiment here. So again, I'm going to get rid of that top piece there, and that should work down here like so. Okay, so the sentiment's going to come across. Again, you know me by now, when I've worked vertically like this, I always like to bring something across the design, and my sentiment's going to create that for me. Maybe don't need quite as much of that showing, so again, just trim it to size. I just want a little tiny bit poking out of the bottom as a suggestion, and again, it links it with the one that's behind the main collage there. And then I've saved one of the little tiny cogs to go with the sentiment here. So we should be okay now up here. That's fine. So again, we're going to pop this one down first. So little tiny bits of glue again on the back. You see now why that precision tip comes in really handy when you're doing small embellishments like this. So I'm going to pop this where I want it to go, which I think is just above where this finishes. And again, not quite central. So it's slightly closer to this side than it is this side, because my embellishments are more over this way. And then I just want a bit of this popping out underneath. So I reckon about there will work. And again, give that a good press. And then I've got some tape on the back of my sentiment strip here ready to pop down, because this is going on to lots of different surfaces with the paper and the washi tape and the different inks and things. I am going to pop a little bit of the wet glue as well, just so that I've got a little bit of movement time. And again, we're going to bring that one back in like so. Just make sure that we're working nice and straight. Yeah, that looks good to me. Happy with that. And then the little one, again, I've got a piece of tape on there ready. And at first I thought I wanted it with the Happy Father's Day down here like so. I was going to go for it down here, but then realised that this was crying out for something further up, and then it was a case of, do I go straight? I decided to deliberately go at a slight angle there, so we've got the Happy Father's Day. And then I've got one more little cog here, a little tiny baby one, that we're just going to link again in with what we've done up here. And I'm just going to bring this one right down to the bottom there. It's slightly smaller than what I had on the other card, but again, it's whatever I've got left in the stash there. And then just to decorate a little bit further, it's knowing, I'm the world's worst at knowing when to stop, but you do get dozens and dozens and dozens of these gorgeous little hexagons that come out of that background die that we used. So these are the leftovers. They are great for making like shaker elements, but I'm going to use a few of these just to add a bit of detail to that design. So what I want to do then is just pop these back in the odd place and use them as embellishments now, because they're there. Okay, so I'm actually going to insert one back into the grid, just an oddment back into the grid there, and I'll use my pickup tool. So I'm going to stay with the same colour. We're going to put one back in like so, and then I'm going to do something right up at the top. Now I added a little bit more at the top. I decided I wanted a bit more, so I've just got scraps of this left. And again, you know, there's no right or wrong. I'm going to pop this one just up here, and then I can put another piece back in for this one as well. And as I say, I am the world's worst at knowing when to stop. It's like step away from the card, Jan. But what I wanted to do was add one of those back in the middle there. So that's going to be that same colour, like so. Just turn it round a little bit, so we've got it in the right position. I want it to look as if it is actually back in its grid. There we go. And then I'm also going to add some onto the design itself. So we're going to go with, again, I've got a little bit of this left and it's just shouting at me. It's just shouting across there, hey, use me, use me. So any of these little tiny pieces that you've got left, again, a little bit of glue, and I'm going to add this one just to bridge across here. And then I'm also going to go with a spare hexagon, a spare hexagon, and I want a set of 3, so I think the other one can probably come down there. Okay, so I'm going to go with a lighter one on the dark area there. I'm going to go with a metallic-y one down here and the metallic one on there. So again, just using up elements of that that die cut that we used. And then the last thing that I added, as always, even though it's a card for a gent, instead of going full on bling, I have got some little enamel dots in neutral colours here. These are just, again, some oddments that I've got left, and I've got lots of different neutrals in here. So on my original design, I actually added just a few, again, drawing it across that. You know that I like to work the eye across the sentiment there, and added a few of those in. And then just before I finished, I've got, and again, I think you've seen these before, I've got a couple of sets of dies, of stamps that are just numbers. I love numbers, anything to do with numbers. Numbers and clocks are my kind of thing. So yeah, either of these two. And I think I use this one here. And out of this little one, I think, if I remember rightly, it was this one down here. And I've just added those in places. I've got some here at the bottom, one here, and then it's not obvious, but there is one just on the brown at the top. Again, just that linkage between them. So this is the one we've just made. This is the one that I did. I've got the book paper in the back of that one. I think I'm actually going to stay with the original for my dad, to give him this one. No particular reason. Yeah, I think I'm going to stick with that one. So just to finish off then, I am actually going to add an insert. I'd kept this one depending on which one. I wasn't sure about whether I wanted the book paper or not, but I think I actually am. I like this one. So I'm going to stay with the original one, and then I've just cut a piece the same size as the matte layer. Okay, so this is the same as the black layer at the beginning, and I've edged it with the vintage photo again, and just popped my greeting on the inside there, and we're going to pop this inside, so I've got a nice space to write a message to him for Father's Day. Okay, so that one's just going to go inside, and it just leaves a nice little framed edge with the craft card there, and it gives you that place to write your sentiment. Now, if you've got any little bits and pieces left, you could add a little bit of this. In fact, I might do that actually. I might just cut that in a straight line so that I've got an edge there. And I might just add that on the inside. You know that I like to decorate the inside of the cards to match the outside. So again, I'm just going to add a few little drops with that precision tip there. And then this will actually link it to what's going on the front of the card. I've just got a few of those little die cut hairs there that will rub off once it's dry. And that last little bit that I've just snipped off, again, we'll bring in just at the top there. And I think that's probably enough. It's like, Jan, step away from the card. That is my biggest learning experience. It's knowing when to stop. But I have all these little bits left, and they're just, you know, it's like, why not use them? So yeah, we've just got that little bit of a link there to what's going off on the outside of the card. I've still got plenty of space there to write my message. and that will actually stick down there, and then that's the design that we're actually going with. So as I say, we've got those extra little enamel dots just cascading across the sentiment there. The addition of the numbers, again, just keeping in feel with that lovely vintage design. You can see the paper, there's a little bit of a postmark in the background of that one. You've got all this lovely textured work in that paper, the bit of the tag, so many different bits and pieces to see and catch the eye. So that's my design for today. That will pass on. I don't think my dad actually sees any of my channel, so I don't think he'll see this in advance. But yeah, this is going to go to him next weekend after the videos come out on the Saturday. Hope you like it. If you do, consider giving it a thumbs up for me. It does help tremendously with the channel, and I'll be back very soon with another tutorial for you guys. So bye for now.